Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hello.
By Jonathan Voico.
There's no discharge in the war.
Somebody saw the 20 years later. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Actually, we got a whole ton of crap. A ton of stuff to talk about here today. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question that you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And the good news about that is that it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're not watching live and you can't get a question in right now, maybe you're listening to our podcast either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or maybe you're watching our show a little bit later in the day on YouTube when we're not live. You can still use the tip link to send in a question anytime you want, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get things on this very, very long show lined up here today kicked off, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Mufasa, Mufasa, Mufasa. The new Lion King movie, Mufasa, coming out here shortly. I can't remember the exact release date, Ray. What is the release date?
It's the 20th.
It's the 20th.
Yeah.
So it's coming in like 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how it turns out. Now, of course, the celebrated filmmaker, Barry Jenkins, came on to direct this thing, which made a big splash. Of course, he's gotten a lot of Oscar attention, all that kind of stuff. He's a beautiful storyteller. That's gotten some people excited about it. Not everybody loved the 2019 Lion King movie, though, that Barry Jenkins had nothing to do with. So I did, though. I loved the 2019 Lion King. Not as much as the original, but I loved that movie. I thought it was great. But anyway, now along comes this new Mufasa. And now, the first critics who have seen it, they're saying it's damn great. And I'm not talking about Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart first reactions. I'm talking about like big major trades who have seen it now and are raving about these things. This comes to us from Variety, who said this: the first reactions to Disney's Mufasa, the Lion King, have started pouring in on social media, and members of the press are roaring, get it? Yeah. Are roaring with excitement over the prequel to the 2019 photorealistic remake of The Lion King. Mufasa, the Lion King is the perfect prequel, wrote Variety's senior artist editor, Jazz Tangsay. So beautifully crafted. The songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. A lot of people were lamenting that Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't do the songs in Moana 2.
Right.
That's because he was doing music for this. The beautiful songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Nicholas Britell's score are absolutely divine and music to the ears, pure joy. Film Independent wrote, praises the film as a story that deserves to be told that makes you question what is destiny. Expertly written and crafted, it adds to the Lion King franchise by adding more dimensions to the characters we love and thought we knew. The visual effects are astounding. The good folks over at comicbook.com wrote, a Lion King prequel was not something I was asking for, but the animation is incredible. The songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda are infectious, and the vocal performances make Mufasa, dare I say, better than the 2019 version of The Lion King. To some people, not a high bar. But to me, that's good to hear. Cinefield writes, pleased to say that Mufasa the Lion King is really good. But what else would you expect from Barry Jenkins? A biblical exploration of destiny, brilliantly disguised as an origin story for Mufasa and Scar, entertaining, visually stunning, and Lin-Manuel Miranda's music did not disappoint. All right. Now, I will say that I thought I'm not a big prequel guy. For those of you who watch my show regularly, you know I don't generally like the idea of prequels. There are definitely prequels that I like. Absolutely. But just in general, I don't like doing backward storytelling. I generally like forward storytelling. And, I don't think the trailers for Mufasa have been particularly all that great. They've been fine. Nothing wrong with them. But Barry Jenkins is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about who the storyteller is. When you're sitting down to hear a story, it is all about who's the storyteller. Barry Jenkins is a remarkable storyteller. Now, visually, we all knew this was going to be outstanding. I mean, even people who didn't like the 2019 Lion King, which I did, but even those who didn't like it go, oh yeah, but it was beautiful. Like visually, it's gorgeous. It's incredible to like. And we knew that was going to be. Add Lin-Manuel Miranda to this, and it sounds like we're off to a good start. Now, again, I don't believe that despite the fact that the 2019 Lion King did go on to make over $1 billion and was for a time the highest grossing animated film of all time until Inside Out 2 came along. I still don't think Mufasa is a $1 billion film. I've never thought that right from day one when they announced it. I still don't believe it's a $1 billion film, but it can be very successful. It can be very, very successful. And I'm glad to hear folks like Variety and Film Independent are saying that it's great. So we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's going to be a crowded week.
It is.
Yeah, that week is Mufasa. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And I really want to see The Brutalist, which I just found out is 3.5 hours long.
Oh, yeah. Remember we did a story on that?
Yeah.
That the director was talking about that. So it is. I've actually got my double feature tickets for Mufasa and Sonic.
Oh,
and
nice.
I are going to go see a 3 o'clock of one and a 6 o'clock of another. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The first reviews coming from some of the major outlets are saying Mufasa the Lion King is brilliant. I'm very stoked about it. It's being done by an Oscar-level guy in Barry Jenkins. We'll see how it turns out. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, it wasn't that long ago that we found out that Danny Boyle was coming back to do another 28. We had 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and now we've got 28 years later. That's going to have Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ricky Tikki Tacky.
Oh, yeah.
You know, hot on the heels of his smash global hit, Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah. 28 Cravens later.
28 Cravens later. The world's greatest actor who doesn't have an Academy Award on his mantle, Ralph Fiennes, and the fabulous Jodie Comer are going to be starring in it. And the first one's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta. And this trailer looked creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
That whole chant thing, poem, lyric, nursery rhyme, whatever it is, that's chanting in the background. It annoyed me at first. I'm going to acknowledge it annoyed me. I thought, this is stupid.
It's a wartime poem.
Yeah, but the longer the trailer went on, I'm like, okay, now the music is just making this feel really creepy. And it looked excellent. Screenwrite writes this. This is the synopsis for the new film. It's been almost 3 decades since the Rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory, and now, still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist amidst the infected. One such group of survivors lives on a small island connected to the mainland by a single, heavily defended causeway. By the way, when I saw that in the trailer, like the island with the one little bridge.
Yeah.
I used to love playing StarCraft levels that had those major bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Like I'd set up my base and there's only one little path to get to my base. And I'd set up these choke points and just like destroy Zerg as they come in. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. Anyway, so a single heavily defended causeway. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the dark heart of the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but the other survivors as well. Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
Feels like 28 Days Later meets a little bit of Last of Us.
Well, I mean, Last of Us, and what was that Anthony Mackie movie that was just out, Elevation?
Oh, Elevation.
Like it seems like there is a basic premise to all these kinds of films, right? The basic premise is there's some kind of horrendous outbreak. There are quarantine zones of survivors. Mm-hmm. But something happens where somebody needs to leave the safety of that zone and go out into the untested wilds to face, right? That's the same thing in Last of Us. That's the same thing in this. That's the same thing in Elevation. It's the same thing we've seen a bunch of times. right? And that's fine if it's done well. That's perfectly good. I got to tell you, man, this, without any dialogue, without any narration, without any exposition, this is a near perfect first trailer. Wouldn't be a very good second trailer, but
No.
this is a near perfect first trailer. It just basically announces the project. It gives you a little taste about what the DNA of this movie is going to be, and then just kind of leaves you there. And we're probably not going to get another trailer for a few months. So we're probably just going to have to sit on this one. But I thought this looked fantastic.
Didn't that zombie in the trailer look like Cillian Murphy? Is that supposed to be him?
I don't
The
know.
one that pops up?
That's the theory
people have
going
said that.
around.
It looks exactly. I mean, I can't. Well, no offense,
Creepy,
but it
that's for sure.
Kind of looks like him. So
It does shockingly look like him.
and we did report that he's returning, but we didn't see him in the trailer. Like, did we?
No,
I missed him.
No.
No, unless that's him. So
Oh, yeah.
here's the thing. I remember when the story came out that Cillian Murphy was, because he's a producer on it, and that he was going to return. But at the time, they were saying it's probably going to be a very small part.
And that
Well,
it is. There it
And
is, and
so, like, a lot of people were speculating, what if he's now one of the infected,
That's sad.
right? And then bring that image back up if you still got it
Oh,
again,
yeah, I
that
got it.
zombie, because you're right, that image came up, and that, very eerily looks like Cillian Murphy.
and when we last left him off, he was still in the city. So
Well,
this
we
looks-
didn't see him at all in the second one, did we?
No. So he went far. Then if he's out in this like field of like nothing, like just like laying around and stuff, like I wonder what happened to him. I think all of us are, because in the end of the first one, he survived, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So-
survived.
You know what he kind of looks like? What was that movie Christian Bale did?
Oh, Machinist.
The Machinist. Yeah.
Oh,
he kind of
God.
looks a little bit like Christian Bale.
Let's hope he didn't get to that form.
No, I'm sure he
Let's
did.
hope he didn't.
Not
train
for
to
a
be that.
cameo.
Yeah, that's-
Definitely not for a cameo. No, he wouldn't have done that for a cameo. But anyway, overall, though, I think the trailer looked absolutely killer. I think it looks great. Again, we'll get more once the second trailer comes out and they actually start to form the story for us and we start to get a little bit more of it. But right now, I just think it looks great. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the 28 Years Later trailer? If so, what did you think? Maybe it didn't impress you. I thought it was great personally, but whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. Right now, the second biggest film of the year, the number one R-rated box office film of all time, Deadpool and Wolverine. Smash success, huge money. And I've always said that I don't believe there's any way Disney jumps through all the hoops and all that kind of stuff to get this movie going unless they got Ryan Reynolds to agree to a multi-film deal, right? I said, I absolutely believe we're going to get a in the MCU, a Deadpool 2, which would essentially be Deadpool 4, Deadpool 5. I think we're going to get all that kind of stuff. But lately, Ryan's been sounding like he's not all that anxious to jump back in front of the camera a lot. And now he's actually, in an interview he did with an Actors on Actors with Andrew Garfield, he's kind of dropping hints that we may not see another Deadpool movie. This comes to us from CBR, who wrote the following. Ryan Reynolds said, Deadpool's a supporting character, much more than he is a main character, Reynolds said during a Variety Actors on Actors segment. He went on to explain that the only way to change that is to strip everything away from the Merc with a Mouth. You have to create a situation where he's so much the underdog, and I don't think I can do that again. So I think if he comes back, it's going to be in somebody else's movie. Channing Tatum was so excited to play Gambit, and I would happily be the fifth banana in his movie or anyone else's. Okay. Now, normally, when a movie is a smash hit, particularly a billion-dollar hit, joins the billion-dollar club, particularly when it becomes like the highest grossing R-rated film in history, the general Hollywood narrative goes like this. a big multi-film deal is signed and plans get underway immediately to start cashing in on that.
Mm.
And while I absolutely believe that Bob Iger would absolutely love to get more of that sweet Deadpool cash, it really all comes down to Ryan Reynolds. And listen, as of right now, a lot of us has got to remember now, Ryan Reynolds probably today, as much money as he makes in Hollywood, that's probably his acting right now is probably his side hustle. This dude has so many businesses and stuff like that he runs. I mean, that's probably where I'm just guessing here. That's probably where the majority of his money comes from. And starring in movies like Deadpool and Wolverine is now a side hustle.
Mm-hmm. Well, he sold, didn't he sell aviation, or his ownership of aviation?
I think he sold the majority of his ownership in aviation to like a 400 times profit.
And there's Mint Mobile that he was divested.
Yeah,
right?
he's still an owner at Mint Mobile, but he's short his majority share.
Yeah. And then he's got obviously Wrexham, and then which is and now that beer company they've invested in Wrexham.
Yep,
so.
now they got the beer company and all that kind of, not to, oh, by the way, his wife is a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the money in the world.
I know. Let the man live a little.
And
bit.
they have like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think he now has 23 children. He's got a lot of kids.
It's 23 and me.
It's 23 me. Him and Blake have a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And like to them, his kids is his world, right? So for him to come out and say, listen, I just think that Deadpool is by nature and by definition, he's a B character. He's a secondary character. He's a supporting character. And under Fox, we were able to do it because that's what Fox had. And we got to do this great story of kind of a segue into the MCU. But I was thinking, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that there's a way to do him as his main guy again. And now listen, he's not saying, what he did not say in this interview was that I'm done playing Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm done.
Right.
No, he is not saying that. He goes, I'll happily still play Deadpool
Yeah.
in somebody else's movie.
And I think actually that really shows he's a team player with Marvel, with Disney's Marvel, not like Sony, but you know, he's willing to play, like he says, fifth banana in somebody else's film. One, it takes off a lot of pressure, then he doesn't have to worry about producing and everything else that goes along with it. But, you know, he's still willing to move the needle for the team. So I like that.
Well, and you also got to remember, when it's a Deadpool movie, for a guy like Ryan Reynolds, that becomes all life encompassing.
Right.
It's literally 4 or 5 years of his life.
And writing, and not just producing, writing.
Yeah,
too.
the writing and overseeing the development and being the main producer on it and pulling all the strings and putting all the ducks in a row and all that kind of stuff. It becomes absolutely all consuming for him.
And the stress will always come when you care about something a lot.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
he absolutely cares about this character a lot. I mean, if it was just a money thing, he'd probably be in every cameo or make every cameo that is offered to him. But he actually does care about this character, and he wants it done right until he's done playing him.
Yeah, and listen, by the way, the article goes on to say this. He kind of echoes some of the stuff I've been saying here. It goes, elsewhere in the interview, Reynolds attributed the success of Deadpool and Wolverine to scarcity and surprise, while admitting that he would much rather stay home with his family than work on a fourth film. He said this, so it had been 6 years since the last one, and part of the reason is that it swallows my whole life, he explained. I have 4 kids, and I don't ever want to be an absentee parent. I kind of die inside when I see their faces and they do a sports thing or something and I missed it. I mean, that's just the place he's at in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good Canadian kid. And, you know, we've got those types of, you know, values. And he's got all, let's face it, compared to all of us, he has all the money in the world, right? He has all the money in the world.
So many Canadian dollars.
So many Canadian dollars.
I mean, yeah, he's given us some good movies. And I think, yeah, if he wants to come back, we'll all welcome him, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and again,
let him
I
live
have
his
very,
life, I think.
I have very little doubt he'll come back.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to appear in somebody else's movie, that's nothing. That's, I don't have to spend years. You probably need me for what? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I'll put on the costume, come say some quippy one-liners, do some action scenes, and then I'll go home. 3 weeks in and out.
I think it's
Compared to 3 years
Yeah.
of totally dominating his life doing another Deadpool movie. So then that would bring up the question for a lot of people. If Ryan is pretty set on that, and we don't know that he is, But if Ryan does become really set in that, does Kevin Feige and Bob Iger go, well, maybe it's time we get a new Deadpool? Like,
I
if
don't
they
think so.
really want, like, let's say Ryan says, I'm not going to do Deadpool 4, but I'm willing to show up in cameos. Does Bob Iger then go, okay, Ryan, you're awesome. That's great. But we want more than that. So we're going to have to go out and get somebody else to play Deadpool now. It wouldn't be unheard of, and it certainly wouldn't be unprecedented. But I mean, I don't know. It's
I
an
think
interesting situation.
That's probably way further down the line. They probably got a bunch of like I don't know what else story you could tell with Deadpool though. Like for him to be the fourth.
We kind of thought that after Deadpool 1.
Right.
What other stories? And then after Deadpool 2. And now after Deadpool 3. But I mean, there's always stories to tell, right?
I mean,
it's just whether or not you can get Ryan to come back to do it.
and we would all love him to come back,
Oh,
right?
of course. I would
Obviously.
watch a new Ryan Reynolds Deadpool movie every 6 months.
So yeah.
But maybe he's just not at that point anymore. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Ryan Reynolds saying, listen, I just don't see the point of doing a Deadpool 4. I'll keep playing Deadpool. I'll show up in other movies as a part of an ensemble. But yeah, do you think he's actually means it and that's how he truly feels? And if he does Disney start to reconsider that and think, well, maybe we need somebody else to play Deadpool? Although it's at this point, it's very difficult to imagine somebody else playing him, but I suppose they can. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of some anticipated upcoming movies, there's a new Lord of the Rings film coming out. An animated film.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. First announced a couple of years ago, and a lot of people got very excited about it and all that kind of stuff. First trailer dropped for it a while ago. And I admit, while I've been excited for this movie, trailer didn't do it for me.
Nor I.
It actually kind of lowered my excitement for the film. And now I'm kind of, yeah, I'll probably go see it. Like, it went from, I cannot wait for War of the Rohirrim to, yeah, I'll see it, sort of thing. Well, the first reviews are now out for Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. And right now, as of this recording, it is holding a 67%. Not bad. Not bad. Not great. That means if you had 100 critics in the room right now, 67 of them are saying they like it, and 33 are saying they don't. So a vast majority of the critics like
Still
it.
technically fresh.
It's still technically fresh, but not, not as fantastic as they're kind of hoping to see. Yeah. Anyway, let's read some of these reviews here, shall we? Randy Jones wrote, under the direction of Kamiyama, one is enticed into an occasionally epic and action-packed cinematic anime experience. However, the generic characters, inadequate pacing, and inconsistent animated movement results in a middling return to Middle-earth. Original Sin liked it. They said probably the best production of the litany of Tolkien pre-Ring stories to come out on the big screen, including The Hobbit. Some parts drag, some are campy, but this is definitely something to see on the big screen. All right, so didn't overly love it, but they liked it. Mm-hmm. Sebastian also liked it, saying, it doesn't quite reach the level of Peter Jackson's first trilogy. That would be an impossible task. But thankfully, it's far better than any of the Hobbit films, so that's a good thing. Film Inc. Australia liked it, saying it delivers the kind of I don't even know that word.
Where are we at?
Petrichor?
Petrichor. I guess Petrichor?
Sure.
I'm going to look it up.
It sounds like something that powers a Voltron robot.
Get the Petrichor.
Get it. High fantasy that has no business being as rare as it is nowadays.
A pleasant, earthy smell that occurs when rain falls. Oh, and you get the dry soil.
That's great.
Nice.
Oh,
Kamiyama and his writers help audiences feel right at home using canny foreshadowing and paying lip service to iconic characters from the beloved trilogy. The playlist liked it, saying Rohirrim is told with great fervent conviction, and no true Lord of the Rings fan will complain about that. Our friends over at MovieWeb wrote, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim mostly thrills as an anime chapter that will delight the Tolkien faithful. The epic story's superb animation, rousing score, and fantastic character development overcome the franchise's usual pacing issues. Zach Polk reviews didn't like it. They said a technical and gorgeous marvel from the spanning landscape to the incredible sound design. Sadly, the story just isn't interesting enough to lock me in. Anyway, So it goes on like that. So nobody jumping up and down saying, this is the greatest Lord of the Rings thing we've all been waiting for. But nobody also coming out and saying they straight up hate it.
No.
Right? It's all kind of, yeah, it's pretty good. Some a little bit more enthusiastic on the pretty good. Some, well, it's not quite so good. So it's 67%. This is kind of what I was expecting.
I kind of didn't like that word that reviewer used.
Petrichor?
No.
Oh.
Generic.
Oh, yeah.
That's just not a good word to use when it's trying to describe the story. You know what I mean?
Not what you want to hear. But then again, not necessarily. The other critics didn't necessarily think it was generic.
Right. This movie's gonna have an uphill battle compared to like the live action
live
films.
action.
Oh yeah.
And even what's on Amazon, as horrible as the first season was, it's still trying to get that demographic in the theater for an animated film. I just don't know. I just don't know.
And you know what? The projections are not good. The box office projections have not been strong. I think if you were going to try to get people to rush to the theaters to see an animated Lord of the Rings film, when, let's face it, today everybody's accustomed with their Lord of the Rings tales in live action, you needed to market the hell out of it. And they did not. They simply did not market the hell out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a new trailer or commercial or anything for it in weeks.
And there's nothing looks familiar to me in this, except that one part where in the trailer where they drop the bag and there's the ring inside.
Yeah, at the end.
But nothing else looks familiar or like even reminiscent of the Lord of the Rings, at least in my head. I mean, let's say they did a Lord of the Rings animated film that was exactly like the first 3 movies, right? If an animated version of that film, that would probably make more money than this, I think.
Probably, because at least then it'd be more familiar to a lot of the audience. So maybe I'll love the movie. Maybe I will. I just think you're right, Ray. There is a big uphill battle to go on this. They have not marketed this thing nearly enough. I think if you took a poll, a straw poll, I bet you a lot of the average moviegoers aren't even aware of this film. And they're not doing a lot to make a big splash. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Have you been looking forward to Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim? I have, but I didn't love the trailer. Maybe you did. Are these initial reviews coming out around where you thought they'd be, worse than you thought they'd be, better than you thought they'd be? Are you still going to go see it? Are you aware of the film? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a number of things to talk about, including Emmy winner, star of The Bear, Jeremy Allen White, has joined the Mandalorian movie as Little Stinky, Jabba the Hutt's son. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Also, Henry Cavill's Warhammer series is finally officially now in development, but don't get too excited. The folks at the company are saying it's still a good number of years before we see it on screen. And who's been telling you forever that Chris Evans is going to be back? It's official. Chris Evans is coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will be in Avengers Doomsday. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Mando and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mando. Guys, I've got to tell you about something that changed my whole body care game. Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Now, I first heard about Mando last year when they offered to become a sponsor of the show, and I was honestly skeptical. I mean, a deodorant can't really control odor for 72 hours, can it? But after using it myself, I am a believer. You can use it anywhere on your body, and I mean anywhere. It's clinically proven to keep you smelling fresh for up to 72 hours without any irritation. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings, it's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code Campea. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code Campea. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code Campea and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's trymiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Mando and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? A great tremor was felt in the Force as millions of Star Wars fans cheered out in glee, only to then shake their heads going, what? As news broke yesterday that multi-Emmy award-winning actor, Golden Globe winning actor, SAG award-winning actor, star of The Bear, Jeremy Allen White, has joined the Star Wars universe and is going to be in the upcoming Star Wars film Mandalorian and Grogu. Hype excitement. Till you kept reading. You found out he's going to be playing Rhoda the Hutt, a.k.a. Jabba the Hutt's son, a.k.a. Little Stinky.
Yeah, baby.
God, that I'm look, all due respect to everybody who liked that what was it called? Clone Wars, the movie. All due respect. It's all subjective. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. To me, absolute bag of shit.
Was that the one where they had the southern accents? Like the yeah.
Yeah, when Rhoda's uncle. My stars and garters, go get that little boy.
It was so weird.
Oh, it sucked so bad. And I was at the premiere. I was at the premiere of that bag of shit movie. And I came out and had to meet George Lucas and just smile. And thinking, what a piece of shit that movie sucks. Anyway.
Sucker.
Little Stinky. Oh my. I'm a Hutt, don't you know? This is how we talk. And what is it that they say in The Office? It flows like molasses in your mouth. It was just so bad. Anyway, so Little Stinky is going to be Jeremy Allen White, which ultimately means we're not going to see Jeremy Allen White in the movie. He's going to do a voice of it.
Obviously, they're going to rewrite the character. There's no way it's going to be like that movie.
Oh no, I'm sure. Well, now Little Stinky is now going to be older, right? He's going to be kind of grown up. It's Rhoda the Hutt now, and Jabba's gone. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be out looking for some payback against, Boba Fett.
Ooh.
For taking over his daddy's empire. I mean, he can't go after Princess Leia, the one who killed him, because she's gone now.
I mean, we saw Boba Fett how he is now. It's the right time to actually go after him because
he's got to be careful. The Hutt's got to be careful because he's got the Vespa gang.
Yeah.
Like you don't screw around when Boba Fett's got the Vespa gang. I mean, that's you're taking your life into your own
He's too
hands.
friendly right now.
He might as well have the tracksuit mafia as
boy.
his personal honor guard in the palace there. Anyway, so I mean, yeah. At first, I was in the car yesterday when this news broke, and just the headline: Jeremy Allen White joins Star Wars movie Mandalorian, and I'm like, oh my god! And it's like, oh, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't find this to be much of a story. Not because it's Road to the Hutt, but because we're not actually going to see Jeremy Allen White, right? He's just doing. It's not even a situation where he's going to be mocapping like Andy Serkis. Like that's, hey, maybe it looks like a monkey, but that's Andy Serkis doing all the performance and all the acting and hearing his voice. That's not even this. I mean, he's literally Jeremy Allen White is literally going to drive to Lucasfilm. He's going to go into a sound booth for 3 or 4 hours, record his dialogue with his headphones on, and then say, collect a check and go home. So I don't know how stoked I am about
it's a shame too, because I haven't seen The Bear, but I loved his performance in The Iron
good.
Claw.
He was so
Kerry
good in
Von
Iron
Erich,
Claw.
Texas Tornado. They couldn't have picked a more perfect actor to play him. I want to see him in more. It's unfortunate that it probably is going to be a voiceover work, but I'm going to start The Bear pretty soon.
I love that image.
But someone made that.
I think that's real. I think it's from the
I
show.
think that's actually our first
Yeah, a
screenshot
little stinky.
of the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie right there.
But in terms of the movie, the reason why I have faith is only because it's John Favreau, right? He's doing this movie. Is he directing this movie?
Okay. He is.
But he isn't.
Here's the thing. So there have been whispers going around, but I spoke to somebody in the studio who basically, I'm gonna read this quote. Now listen, I cannot personally speak to the validity of this, okay? I'm simply telling you something I heard, could be so far off base it's crazy, okay? So let me just undermine my own statement right now and saying don't tell anybody else this because it's probably incorrect. I'm just telling you what I got told, okay? By somebody in the studio. And they said basically John Favreau was personally on set about 30% of the time.
Oof.
He attended shoots virtually on some days with a PA literally carrying an iPad around with John on the screen. But he wasn't there the majority of the time. I wouldn't say he wasn't there. He was, especially on bigger days. So I just think it's kind of funny when you ask, did John Favreau direct it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
From afar.
Again, listen, this, I cannot verify. This is why the title, I'm not making a video about, the title of this video is not, was John Favreau on set? I'm not doing that. I'm just mentioning this. Could be totally wrong. Could be totally off base. I just thought it's just something to file away into the back of our heads in case we hear anything else later on. Just file that away for now.
Are you excited?
Could have been days. I'm thinking that could have been days where the Mandalorian. It's like, okay, we understand Pedro Pascal is not going to be under that helmet all the time, right?
Or most of the time he's not under the helmet.
So those days maybe it were just days where Mandalorian is basically just acting, but there's not really any dialogue or performance he has to get. He just has to see the physical performance, so it's not as big.
Yeah, I mean, it could make perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
But going back to the Jeremy Allen White, which is a big, which by the way, the Jeremy Allen White, this story was broke by our friend Jeff Snyder, who's been on our show a number of times, and he did it on Christian Harloff's show. He was on, he's on with Christian once in a while, and that's where this story all originates from Christian's show. But again, it's going to be interesting. I don't even know that his voice is going to be recognizable in it. Because, we're not going to wrote, excuse me, are you Jabba the Hutt? Why, yes, I am. Who's asking, good sir? Like, it's not, I don't believe we're even going to hear Jeremy Allen White. Now I want to see a Hutt do that. Now that's all I want out of Star Wars now. I want to see a Hutt do that.
Well, you might have had your wish if George Lucas kept making those movies.
Yeah, we could have got it eventually. Anyway, listen, what do I say? It's never a bad idea to add talent.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Allen White is one of the best actors in the business today. I don't know we're really going to see that on display doing the voice of little Stinky, Shitty the Hutt, but I mean,
I mean, he may have been like, "Oh, I'll do anything Star Wars."
Yeah,
he might be a big
that's
fan.
exciting, right?
Right. So like whatever I can be, but I have this schedule that's filled because he's doing the Bruce Springsteen movie, right?
I forgot about
yeah,
that.
he's doing Bruce Springsteen and something out. I had it up, but I'm sorry.
Baby, we were born to
So
run.
like he might have just been like, let me be a part of this. Like I want to do something in the Star Wars.
Yeah, he
Who
might be
knows?
such a Star Wars fan. He's just like,
Right.
I'll do anything.
Right.
And Shitty the Hut. Okay, so let's go.
He's
Anyway,
He's like the meatloaf of the Star Wars role. I'll do anything.
I would do
Oh, boy.
anything
Oh,
for
boy.
love. All right. I don't know why I said that. Guys, question is for you.
You know why?
What do you think about this? I mean, listen, the headline is sexy as hell. Jeremy Allen White joining the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I think the sexiness goes through about 4 bottles of tequila, and then you realize, oh, wait, he's just doing the voice of Jabba the Hutt's son. I don't know. Maybe it's still something to be excited about. How do you guys feel about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? One of the coolest things about my boy Henry,
Yeah.
again, right over there, you can just see the edge of his body. I always keep
There
other
we
way.
go.
There
There's
we
his
go.
hand.
There he is over there. There's his hand. Always in here, standing vigil, guarding the studio.
Yep.
My boy, Henry Cavill. One of the truly great things about him is that while a lot of people and a lot of actors will learn to speak geek, he's a hardcore nerd, man. He's a hardcore nerd. This is the guy who literally was late picking up the call that he got the role of Superman because he was busy doing a dungeon raid in World of Warcraft. This is the guy who, during the pandemic, made a video of him building his own gaming PC, of which millions of women around the world immediately became impregnated. This is the guy who is so into Warhammer, a game my friend Rodney Brazeau, who used to do, who was one of the original cast members on our Jedi Council, my buddy Rodney Brazeau introduced me to Warhammer 40K many years ago. But he's such a big fan of that, he wanted to do his own cinematic universe of Warhammer 40K. And it feels like years ago that it was a couple of years ago, that the announcement came out that Henry Cavill was going to be producing and starring in a Warhammer 40K, and they were going to do a whole cinematic universe about it. It's been years. And as a matter of fact, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think just last week, one of our viewers wrote in and said, what's going on with the Warhammer thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, as far as I know, it's still happening. I just haven't heard anything about it. Well, now we've got solid concrete official word, as Deadline is reporting, that Warhammer 40K, Amazon Studios has said they are now in active development of Warhammer 40K. But it's still going to be a bunch of years before we see anything on the screen. Anyway, Deadline wrote this. Exactly 2 years after Amazon MGM Studios acquired global rights to the Warhammer 40K game from Games Workshop for Henry Cavill to star in and executive produce in a cinematic universe, there has been movement on the project. The first piece of the potential franchise, a TV series, is now officially in development at the studio. According to sources, a mini room was assembled to hone in on a creative direction for the Warhammer universe. Based on the material produced by the writers, a decision was made to proceed with the development of a TV series as the first project, sources said. No showrunner has been locked yet, with a deal being, hammered out. All right.
It's hammer time.
There's going to be so many of those memes. So many Hammer Time memes. Anyway, so Henry Cavill, of course, took to social media. I think his post is down here somewhere. Yeah, Henry Cavill got on social media, just raved about it, to celebrate Warhammer news, all this kind of stuff. It's happening. Now,
what you guys don't know, he's about to enter the internet cafe to go play Warhammer.
Yeah,
he's going in to play Warhammer right now.
Yeah.
So the one kind of downer news on this is that Games Workshop, who's behind Warhammer, one of their executives did come out and publicly say, we are still a good number of years away from anything being on screen, which is not tremendously surprising to hear. Henry Cavill's dance card is filling up, right? Because he's got Voltron that he's doing. Pretty excited to see him in that. But also, let's not forget, he's supposed to be the big main lead guy in an entire Highlander universe. They're doing multiple Highlander projects. And that's being directed by one of the John Wick directors. And he's our new Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's there too. A couple of other smaller projects in there as well.
Right.
And also, like, if you guys are familiar with Warhammer, like I have a little guy. I have never played Warhammer,
Well,
I
the
have. It's a
figures
lot
are
of
so
fun.
cool.
but the armor, the way these characters look, it's gonna be a daunting task to actually put that on screen. Like,
It's going to be huge.
huge. Like, think of the Fallout show, the T armor, whatever that thing is called, that comes down. A bunch of those going to war. Like, that's a daunting task to actually, whether it's going to be real like costumes or computer generated.
Oh, yeah, mix.
It's still going to take a long
It's
time.
going to be, that's why I was surprised to hear that they're leading off with a TV series, because this is going to be a massively budgeted TV series.
But one other thing I've got to point out is Amazon becoming the home of video game adaptations.
Well, more than that, genre
Yeah.
material, right?
They're really covering the big titles.
Well, I
right
mean,
now.
look, they did a masterful job with Fallout. That got nominated for Best Series at the Emmys. They've got God of War coming, who now I'm thinking that guy playing Paulie in Reacher should maybe be our new, should be Kratos.
Did they do Borderlands? They didn't, right?
No, they didn't do Borderlands.
Okay. Thank God.
That was Lionsgate.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
That was part of the Lionsgate downfall.
But listen,
They should have
Amazon,
done Borderlands.
but Amazon TV is killing it,
Yeah.
right? Because then you also got like Invincible, you've got The Boys, you've got, I mean, they have really been crushing it at Amazon TV. And so there's a lot of hope for this. Again, it's just, I don't think we're going to see anything at minimum until 2028. Now, somebody in the live chat just said at this point, I don't think, the Highlanders is happening. Oh, the Highlanders happening. Like they're actually getting close to starting shooting. Like Henry Cavill's right now in training for it because they're starting shooting on that soon.
And Amazon got Tomb Raider too, right? As well. That's
Does
a video
Amazon have Tomb Raider? Is
Amazon
that who got
does
it?
have Tomb Raider. Let me double check that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
You might be right. That might have been them that got the new Tomb Raider series.
So he is busy through 25 because he's got In the Gray with Guy Ritchie.
Which, by the way, they showed us a big. Now he's already done though.
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
He's
that's
already
just
shot that.
post production.
It is Amazon.
They showed us the preview for In the Gray.
Pre-production though, he's got Broadsword with Tom Cruise and Marion Cotillard. That's Chris
Yep.
McQuarrie.
So he's got that. And then so it's going to be interesting, but there's still a ways away. And listen, to Ray's point about how technically involved this whole thing's going to be, it's going to take a long time to even just have a production of this ready to go. So
Right.
I'm thinking the earliest is 2028, but I don't know.
Can I make a request?
Yes.
Please, Cavill, do Voltron first.
Well,
Drop everything else. Do Voltron first, please.
I think they start shooting Voltron next month.
Good.
Yeah, Voltron
yeah.
is next on the card.
Thank you.
Yeah, Voltron's up next, so then we'll get that. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It's now officially, finally, after 2 years, now actually in development of a Warhammer 40K TV series that Henry Cavill's going to be part of as a part of a whole Warhammer 40K cinematic universe. But according to Games Workshop, it's still going to be a good number of years before we see anything on screen. So it's still pretty far off. When do you think we're going to see it? Are you excited about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. It's now official. Chris Evans is coming back to the MCU. Not that he ever left. It wasn't that long ago that he was in Endgame. But Chris Evans has, let's say, his next appearance is now set, where at the very latest, according to Deadline, we're getting him in Avengers Doomsday. Deadline wrote this. Chris Evans is coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, it's not like he ever really left. For the Joe and Anthony Russo directed Avengers Doomsday. At this point in time, the role isn't entirely clear, but sources say Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson's character will also return as Captain America. Evans in the Captain America costume seems less likely. However, it wouldn't be a shock if he reprises the role of Steve Rogers. All right. So back after Endgame, and everybody said, well, that's it. Robert Downey Jr.'s done. Chris Evans is done. I said a million times, mark my words, Robert Downey Jr. will be back and Chris Evans will be back. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be this year. It may not be next year. It may not be in 2 years. But both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will be back.
28 years later.
28 years later. To which the vast majority of people said I was stupid. And normally, you'd be right. But in this case, I was right. Yeah, he's back. He's back. Now, who's he going to be?
I hear he's going to be
A level 4 naughty lister?
He's definitely a level. Maybe he's just Steve Rogers, where they pluck him back out from, when he went back to take back the Infinity Stones.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he's old man Steve Rogers. I don't personally think he's going to be old man Steve Rogers, but that's a possibility.
That would be cool. And he goes into war.
Hey! But he's still got the
But
super
he's still
soldier
dope.
serum in him, right? He's like this old man. He's like beating the shit out of people. That would be funny to see. Come here, Sonny. And he just like loafs the guy. So there's another option. In the comics, some of you are aware of this. Though 2 years ago, Marvel kind of shocked the comic book world when they revealed that at least a version of Captain America had always been a Hydra agent.
Yeah.
Where he says, you see this big iconic image, this great image on the cover of him, Captain America standing there with big bulging man, says, "Hail Hydra." So maybe this is like that version.
Oh, no.
I still think it's probably, I would put the odds on it just being it's the KISS approach, right? It's the keep it simple, stupid, the most
Yeah.
obvious answer. I think he's going to be the Steve Rogers we know. Back from wherever, not having grown old, all that kind of stuff. They'll work their Marvel nonsense to make that happen.
I feel there's going to be a callback. My favorite part of Avengers 1 was just that opening scene where he's hitting the bag and like they're like, you should have left it
The
in
world
the ocean.
needs you.
Yeah, you should have left it in the ocean. Every time he says that, I get goosebumps just because it's like, all right, time to go back to duty, right? So I think they might try to do a throwback to that where he's just been living his life and they need him.
Yeah,
go
they need
get
him to have to bring him
and
back.
they-
I mean, that again, a possibility.
That'd be great.
I
I
don't
mean-
know. I don't think he necessarily retakes back the mantle of
No,
Captain
no,
America.
absolutely not. I don't.
But he's Nomad. He's Steve Rogers at this point, right? And that's fine. I think this was a no-brainer for them to do. Now, I have to address this because this, I'm just going to say it, pathetic nonsense. Ever since they announced Robert Downey Jr. was going to come back, right? There's this ridiculous take out there that, oh, that's just Marvel being desperate. I'm sorry. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. It is one of the straight up dumbest things I've ever heard. And listen, the smartest people in the world say dumb things. If you were one of the people who said this really dumb thing, that doesn't mean I think you're dumb. I say really dumb things. And I'm a pretty smart guy. You're probably a pretty smart person. But make no mistake about it. Commenting and saying, this seems desperate is pathetically stupid. It's like you literally have the two most important, popular, beloved, and narrative central characters and performers in those roles in the entire franchise. And you think using them is desperate? What kind of logic is that?
But they don't even
It's like saying this. The Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Many of you know sports. You know what I'm going to say here. They got a multiple-time MVP. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, right? Who's Kansas going to play at quarterback this week? Coach Andy Reid says, "Well, we're gonna start Patrick Mahomes." Oh, that's desperate. You must be desperate if you're starting Patrick Mahomes. What? Why wouldn't we start one of the best players the league has ever seen? Why wouldn't we do that? It's also like this. You know, when they brought Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire out of retirement to appear in Spider-Man No Way Home, nobody went, "Oh, that's desperate. Oh, that's so desperate."
Those Spider-Man movies are failing.
Yeah, they must be flailing. Oh, flail all over the place. This is so desperate. No, you have beloved characters and performers who played them. And you know, somebody in the live chat I was interacting with him a little bit. Somebody brought up in the live chat, it's like, well, why don't they do new stuff instead of just bringing back whatever? And it's like, are you kidding me? Marvel has almost to a fault. I actually think it's been a weakness. Marvel has been doing nothing over the past few years except giving us new characters.
We don't ever see anyone we've seen before.
Yeah, like between Agatha, Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi, we've now got Ironheart coming, we got Marvel coming,
And none of that will matter when the Sentry is introduced. None of that will matter at all.
when Century. But my point is that Marvel has spent the last couple of years flooding us with new stuff, with like new characters and all this kind of stuff. And I've always argued, like a good sports team, yeah, you got to have a good mixture of the young rookies and the seasoned veterans. You got to have a balance. You got to have a mix of them. And the reality is that the MCU has been losing a lot of their higher profile characters. And so this notion of like, well, let's see, we've got our two most beloved and most central and most important characters we've ever had in the MCU. Better not put them in the next movie. I don't understand the logic behind anybody's thinking on that. You've got to tell me the logic behind that, because that thinking makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, and of course,
none.
And of course, if Robert Downey Jr. is back, I had a feeling Chris Evans will probably be back too, because it's like they go hand in hand sometimes. But also,
they're yin and yang.
Just the stories of the Secret Wars and Secret Wars mainly. You have to expect that a lot of characters are coming back.
Listen, we heard a report a while ago that I think what was the number that Kevin Feige said, like 70 characters?
I thought it was like more 80.
I thought it was
like,
either 60 or 70. Either way, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of characters. And maybe this will truly be the swan song of characters like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. But this idiotic notion, this absolutely absurd, backward thinking, horrendously stupid notion that, oh yeah, bringing the most popular, important characters into the movie. Boy, that's desperate.
Well,
I could only see that if Marvel was one after another was the DCU, just a downward trending in income, and their movies were failing. They're like, we got to do something quick. Just bring back Robert Downey Jr. It's like they're on an upward trajectory. They've had some misses, but
and what happened when they announced that? Forget how the movie turned out, forget the result. What was the response of people when they announced that Michael Keaton was going to be in Flash as Batman? There was fucking international celebration, as well there should have been. I didn't see anybody going, well, bringing back Michael Keaton, well, it's desperate. I never saw anybody say, I'm sure somebody out there said it. I didn't see anybody say that.
Even if he was casted as Zod, I think people just love Michael Keaton, like going back in that universe. But here's the thing with Robert Downey Jr. and Doomsday. This is a big character, right? First of all, then you gotta find an actor that's willing to commit the time and effort to actually being this character. But also, you gotta they trust Robert Downey Jr. That's one of the big things. I think they trust him with this character, and that's why it was like, okay, if they want to go with Robert, then let's go with him. You know what I mean? That's the way I feel. I trust whatever the decisions they make.
Yeah, they're going to make it. Look, when the team of Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers have worked together, the results have been nothing but pure magic. I mean, that's just the fact. When Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers work together, it's been nothing but pure magic. And, look, again, when Rogue One, which most people love Rogue One, when we saw that Darth Vader was going to be it, people go, what? They're bringing in Darth Vader. That's desperate. No, he's a beloved character that's important to the universe. And he had one of the greatest scenes ever in a Star Wars film with that damn hallway scene. It's one of the greatest ever.
Where's my Rogue 2?
Yeah, where's Rogue 2?
I love that movie so much. I want Rogue 2. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you remember even in Deadpool, I know he's playing the Human Torch, but remember he had some of that red ribboning under his sleeve, so before he was revealed, there was a pop in the audience because they thought it was Chris Evans as Captain America.
Deadpool himself popped, right? Deadpool himself thought he was Captain America.
No,
right? which
That's such a good
which
scene.
was great. Again, listen, it's all about balance. Absolutely, going into something on Avengers Endgame and Secret Wars, you should have a balance, a mixture of a bunch of new characters and a bunch of veteran characters, and a bunch of new performers in the MCU and a bunch of veterans. Balance. Like, if you want to really get the new characters over, you're going to have a hard time doing that without the veteran characters and veteran performers as well. And like I said, to me, that's been one of the weaknesses of Marvel the last 4 or 5 years, has been it's just like this over glut of new character, new character, new character, new character, new character, new character, to the point that that the MCU, a lot of people have commented, hasn't really felt recognizable the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
And it's such a-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But if you don't see that bringing Chris Evans back, bringing Robert Downey Jr. back is an absolute unmitigated win,
Yeah.
I think you're borderline insane crazy.
I mean, that was a great analogy, because it's like, we're about to go, because the Avengers films are almost like their event things, like the playoffs or the finals in a a sporting event, and it'd be like, okay, we got to win this, but you know what? The audience, the crowd here doesn't want to see us be desperate. Bench our best player. It's like, it doesn't even make sense. And it's a lose-lose situation, because people complain, oh, well, they killed off Robert Downey Jr.'s, not Robert Downey Jr., but Iron Man, and then they got old man Captain America. Now all we have is Thor, and this is kind of like sad, and we don't like this. And then they bring those guys back, and they're like, well, that's desperate. Well, which was it?
Yeah,
did you not want him, or did you?
Listen, here's the thing. In movie fandom, listen, every single one of you watching this and every single person in this room right now, including me, have been guilty of this, okay? We're all guilty of this. Don't pretend like we're not. But every once in a while, we say a trendy thing. We see other people say, oh, it's desperate. Okay, explain to me how it's desperate. It's not. It's brilliant. To bring these guys, these are core important figures in the MCU. And to bring them back, just like, if there's a big multi-dimensional war going on, and you have the top hero ever in your universe, Captain America, Steve Rogers, it doesn't make narrative sense that somehow, some way, he wouldn't be a part of that story. Narratively, it makes no sense. You would have to go out of your way to fudge up logic to say that character wouldn't be a part of some multi-dimensional fight for existence, right?
Right. But for me, I still believe in building up these new characters. Their stories suck, their movies suck, right? But like, as long as they don't do the Rock thing or Hogan thing, you know how WWE will bring in the Rock, the Hogan, and then sometimes maybe they'll win the title or like that. I don't think they should The Rock this, like, meaning bring them back and then them just go away for a long time and then just.
Yeah, no, here's what I think. I love your analogy of The Rock and the Hulk, because many of you, I'm sure, don't follow wrestling, so you won't know what we're talking about. But honestly, prior to it happening, I thought them setting up that Dwayne The Rock Johnson Hulk Hogan fight at WrestleMania was one of the stupidest ideas ever. I really did. I thought that was a dumb idea. You're dragging this old ass Hulk Hogan back into the ring. Rock at that point was kind of past his prime. He's still great, but he was past his prime. All that kind of stuff, and like, that's your main thing. But what happened?
It's the greatest WrestleMania
It
match
ended
of all
up
time.
being one of the most celebrated WrestleMania matches ever.
Ever.
The roof on that place was
Ever.
blown off. Everybody lost their minds in it.
They were all like, it's so desperate.
It's crazy. And you hear The Rock and Dwayne Johnson and Triple H talk about that match today, about like something magic happened in that ring when it happened. But that's what they're going for.
Right.
And that's the thing. You mix in new characters.
Right.
You mix in new actors and new faces with veteran actors and veteran faces. And you create these iconic stories. And I'm sorry, but you're clueless if you think that's desperate. It's going to work. It's going to blow the doors off. This might be the new biggest film of all time. This is going to be a massive success, and there are still going to be people who sit in the corner. This thing will make $2 billion, and people will love it, and you're still going to have people sitting in the corner. Yeah, but it was desperate.
Desperate all the way to the bank.
Give me a break. You don't make yourself sound smart when you say
It's
that.
a business. It's not about anything other than making money. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
It's
doing what
about
they think
mixing
will
the old
benefit
and the
them.
new. It's about balancing the old and the new. That's the only way you can move forward. And you know what? Here's the other thing. I think this is the way. Like I said, I think Marvel has dropped the ball with bringing in these new characters by just flooding us with new characters. You need the veteran faces to transition us. I think this is a great way to put over the new characters, right? There's no better way to put over new characters than with the help of the veteran
Just
characters.
like in wrestling.
Just like in wrestling, right? You go out on your back. Right. And that's what I think is going to happen here. So I think this is fabulous. I'm excited for it. This is a guaranteed win for them. This is Joe and Anthony Russo with Kevin Feige, with Robert Downey Jr., with Chris Evans, and with like 60 or 70 other characters, most of them probably going to be new, to put over and to really transition us. Because here's the problem. The problem with Endgame was this. It was a great crescendo to the Infinity Saga. It was. But it did nothing to transition the MCU into its next phase. I think even the most hardcore lovers of Endgame will acknowledge that. It was a great crescendo, but it didn't do any, and you felt that. The last 5 years, we felt that they never really transitioned us. It just, now here's your next thing. Everybody meet Shang-Chi.
That's why I didn't, that's why I passed on the movies that followed and series that followed Endgame for a little bit because I was still getting over that movie. Like, it was like such a journey to get to Endgame, but then they didn't leave us with something to hold on to. It felt like it's just they cleaned the slate and then, hey, like these characters.
Yeah, just here's all these new characters just like them. And I think Endgame, hopefully, Endgame and Secret Wars will not only be a great end to a hit and miss multiverse saga, but hopefully will also serve as a smooth transition into what comes after, because that's something Endgame didn't quite do. And we'll see how it all turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We've got Chris Evans. Look, we've been saying forever he's going to come back, and now it's official. He's back. Not that he ever really went anywhere. Is there anybody out there who doubts that Doomsday will make $2 billion? I'm just curious. Is there anybody out there who doubts at this point that Endgame is going to be a $2 billion film?
Only because it's desperate. If it wasn't desperate, it would be $3 billion.
It would make Dwayne The Rock. See, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was brave to only make less than $400 million. Yeah. I'm just curious. Whatever you guys think about it, though, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, of course, which is your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment and thank another sponsor of today's video, our friends at Aura Frames. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Aura. Let's be honest, what most people really want for the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. Ann and I have had ours for a while now, and we absolutely love it. Because you may not know, Ann and I like to take a lot of pictures, including a lot of our dogs, Ann's recent trip to Paris, and a whole bunch of other things. And we love having it right on display right there in our living room. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Campea at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you to our friends at Aura Frames. By the way, we love our Aura Frames for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to the most important thing, which is actually your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right, the tick says, seriously, Hollywood Foreign Press, I don't get, you nominated Wicked for Best Musical or Comedy? What I saw had no jokes, no songs, only some background bass riffs, just a whole bunch of naked. Oh, I see. I went to the wrong website.
Wrong website. By the way, that lawsuit is going to get thrown out. I have no doubt that lawsuit's going to get thrown out.
Yeah.
Because the opposing lawyer in a deposition is say, show me proof that your daughter actually did what you say she did.
They should
And
put
there's
it-
not going to be none, and they're just going to throw it out.
It's just gonna be on People's Court or
Judge Judy
Sex
will
court.
adjudicate.
Sex
This
Court.
card
Might
getting-
be on Sex Court,
Court
actually.
TV.
Oh, perfect.
Sex Court TV. All right, what's next?
All right. Jay Newby says, if a movie comes out on Christmas this year and becomes the highest grossing movie of the year by the end of its run, would it count for 24 or 25? I know the release date is 24. What's the most of its money comes from 25? It's a 24 movie.
Yeah, no. The way it counts is whatever year the movie is released in, that's what the box office counts. So if a movie comes out on January 28th, or sorry, December 28th, and makes, $10 million in the first 2 days, and then makes $700 million in 2025 in January, that all counts as a 2024 movie. So that is the way it is always calculated. Whatever year the movie comes out, that's what the box office counts towards. It counts as a 2024 release. So yeah, like if a movie comes out again on December 28th and makes $2 billion overall, you don't go, well, it's really the top movie of 2025. No, it's actually 2024. That's how they calculate it. All right, what's next?
Dildar the Glorious says, I got an idea for a movie. A retired warrior goes out on a quest for revenge after his family's killed. To do that, he must battle other warriors to the death in an arena. I also got the sequel set up, just the first movie, but with his son, Instant Billion.
Yeah, we haven't seen that 100 times culminating in Gladiator 2. I mean, yes, listen, but that's the thing though, right? Like it's just a variation of a common trope that go all the way back, like to the old Kung Fu movies. A young Kung Fu expert master is killed and he goes on a quest to avenge the death of his master. I just described 5,000 classic Kung Fu movies.
And they're all great.
And they're all great. Every single damn one of them. By the way, if you have not seen Kung Fu versus Llama, your life isn't complete. Go watch Kung Fu versus Llama. All right, what's next?
We got Michael D, who says, sad to hear that, with a $20 tip, by the way. Sad to hear that you're retiring, but I wish you all the best. Been watching since Infinity War days. You are a master at your trade. Thank you for the years of entertainment on my lunch breaks and being one and only stop for movie news.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And by the way, it was a $20 tip. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for supporting us on that level. That's very, very generous of you. And yeah, and listen, even once I retire, it's I'm still going to be around in the space. Like I'll probably still do an audio podcast a couple times a week, something like that. So I'm not going to disappear entirely, but yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, growing up, I was a big 2000 AD fan. They were one of the biggest comic franchises. Yet we only have 2 Judge Dredd movies. I hope we get something one day, and I actually think Henry Cavill might be okay playing Dredd. Would like to see a new movie made.
Here's the problem. Who's going to agree to finance that? Because the last Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban, which was badass.
Oh.
I love that movie. Bombed. Even though the movie was great. Ray, what was the total? I'm not even sure if it made $100 million. Can you look up what that Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban?
I think it was just called Dredd.
So it's 41 million.
Yeah.
41, not opening
13
weekend.
domestic. 13 domestic.
Not 41 million opening weekend. It made $41 million total.
Budget was 50 million.
So yeah, the problem is who's going to say, yes, I'll put up $60 million to make that movie. Like who's going to do that? I wouldn't, even though I would love to see it. So I don't know that, I don't know if we're going to see it, even though I love that last movie. It was so good.
Did you like that last RoboCop with Joel Kinnaman?
I did like it.
I did like it too.
I didn't think it was good as the original.
No,
but
of course
but Michael Keaton was in it, was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I didn't jump up and down. I didn't think it was one of the top 5 greatest movies of the year, but I liked it.
Yeah, it didn't do RoboCop a disservice.
Yeah, no.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't do the legacy a disservice. I agree. All right, what's next?
Michael Jones with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Michael.
Responding to my early top 10 of 24, you said I haven't heard of Kill. It's an Indian Hindu language action thriller where 95% takes place on a train. I love movies set on a train.
I do too, man.
It's action-packed and very brutal. It has 89% Rotten Tomatoes score with 100 reviews and 85% audience score.
Okay, well, that would explain why I said I have not heard of this
Yeah.
film. So there you go. That's why. I love when they're done right, but when they're done right, they can be special. Confined spaces movies.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about like all the way back to like Die Hard, where it all takes place in one building, or what was that Steven Seagal movie on the battleship?
Oh, I don't.
You know, the one where he's on the ship and he has to
I
fight.
know the cover of it too. He looks so stern on the cover with
He
that
looks. It's the same
navy hat.
It's the
or
same.
whatever.
It's the same picture of him on every movie
Hold
he
on, let me
does.
look it up.
Yeah, so it was there was that. That was a really good one. Under Siege. Thank
Under
you. Capricorn
Siege,
was the one who
okay.
said Under Siege, where Tommy Lee Jones, I think, was ultimately the
Oh, I
bad
thought
guy.
that was the oil rig one. Never mind. Okay.
Then there was the Passenger 51 with Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah.
Always bet on black. When
Always
he-
bet on black.
So yeah, it was. So you have this like. You had this trend for a while where they were shrinking more and more and more, where you'd have an action movie set in a confined space.
Yeah.
I used to joke because the vehicles, like you went from a building to a battleship to a plane. I started joking around that time. It's like at some point we're going to get Jean-Claude Van Damme in an action film set on a rowboat where he's hiding under one of the benches on a walkie-talkie. You'll never find me. But yeah, I used to love those kinds of. So that sounds kind of fun to me. And by the way, speaking of action films on a train, Brad Pitt, Ricky Tikki Tacky, Bullet Train. If you
Oh,
didn't
I had
see
fun with that. I finally
Bullet
saw
Train,
it.
I thought was a ball.
Yeah.
I had an absolute ball with Bullet Train. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it
And
out.
go see Unstoppable.
And yeah, Unstoppable was
not
really.
bad.
I get that didn't just take
Yeah,
place
that
on
was
a
an
train.
action. Really, they
Yeah.
weren't fighting anyone.
That was an underrated film.
I love
Unstoppable.
that.
My
I like that.
one of my favorite Wes Anderson films, it probably still is top, is Darjeeling Limited. That
By the
takes
way,
place on a
people
train.
remind it wasn't Passenger 51, it was Passenger 57.
Yeah.
And then you get like the raid and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I finally got to use my.
Always bet on black.
Never get to use it.
There it is. Now you got it.
Tristan says, whatever happened to when Apple was declaring that they were going to be more theatrical model and practically announcing public mission statements, being the one streaming service that would favor that? Whatever happened to that?
Well, they've put out movies.
I think they got some cold feet, though.
They've been putting out movies,
Yeah, the
and they will
gorge.
continue to put out movies. But I think they understand they're learning they have to be particular about the
Right.
movies they put out, right? Like, look, this one, The Gorge, this one should absolutely be going to theaters.
I know.
Like, after we saw that trailer yesterday, that one should absolutely go into theaters. But they did make a commitment. They're making X number of billions of dollars per year to theatrical
Right.
releases.
And Napoleon must have been a punch to the stomach. They made that their centerpiece at CinemaCon.
Here's the problem.
Well, even before that, the Flower Moon didn't do
I was
great.
going to say, that's the problem. Killers of the Flower Moon did not. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Horrible box office. Napoleon, horrible movie, did horrible at the box office. So they've got to be better at that. And I think they're going to figure the way. Listen, when you look at how they've handled Apple TV Plus is they just keep cranking out quality after quality, almost to not quite at the level of HBO, but almost the level of HBO. They'll figure it out. Give them time. They are still a very brand new division.
Right.
Like everybody hears the name Apple. Well, Apple, but remember, this television and movie division of theirs is brand new. Brand new.
Yep.
They'll figure it out. They'll get there. All right, what's next?
We got Forbidden, who says, I suspect Chris Evans will play Captain Hydra and be part of Doom's Masters of Evil team. I can see Sam being conflicted about this, much like how Peter could feel the same about Doom.
It's possible. The only reason I have my doubts, again, remember, I brought that up myself. I said it very well could be he's the Hail Hydra Steve Rogers. The only reason that I have reservations that they would do it is because they're already doing that with Robert Downey Jr., right? The Robert Downey Jr. thing where it's going to create massive story potential with the guy who's in the image of like Peter's basic father figure of what Captain America called Earth's greatest defender. The face of that guy now being the face of the biggest threat. They're already doing that with Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Would they just copy and paste that to do that the same with Chris Evans's character? Maybe it would be interesting because that's a pretty cool twist. But again, they're already doing that twist with Robert Downey's Jr. character. So we'll see. They start shooting in like 4 or 5 months, I think. So things are moving forward quick. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous has a two-parter. Keira Knightley is great in Black Doves. I would also love to see more of her on the big screen. Actresses like Jodie Comer were inspired by her. So weird to think she was only 18 when she made that first pirate movie. What's your favorite Knightley movie? It's also crazy to think Knightley got into acting at an early age because she was dyslexic. It helped her. Annoys me to hear when people say she can't act. I watched her in a
Who in their right mind would say Keira Knightley can't act?
John's gonna get him.
Okay, anyway. Sorry, finish that thing.
I watched her in a play in London for which she won an Olivier Award. She is a brilliant actress.
Yeah, she's a wonderful actor. That doesn't mean she's always in great movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't confuse that. Like, great actors can be in terrible movies. What's my favorite Keira Knightley? God, that's a good question.
One of her first ones was Bend It Like Beckham, right?
Was she in
I'm
that?
pretty
Let me
sure.
look that up.
Is that her, Natalie Portman's The Professional? Bend It Like Beckham?
Yeah, Keira Knightley, she's in that. And
Oh
that
my
was-
God.
That was in 2002.
I'd have to think about it. She's a wonderful performer,
Yeah, she
and
is.
she's like truly one of the most like male or female, one of the most beautiful like actresses we've seen on
She's in
screen. She's got a
Pirates.
grace to her.
Right.
She's one of those rare combinations. She's got a grace and a power to her at the same time. I'd have to think about that. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Okay, Councilman Bill Dexhart says, finally got around to watching The Holdovers last night as my Christmas movie for the week. I was floored by how good it was. Might be my favorite Paul Giamatti role. The 70s aesthetic was on point. You all have an odd Christmas movie you love? That was my first movie I saw this year. I saw it in January.
That movie was shockingly good. And I guess we shouldn't have been surprised because, again, it's Paul Giamatti with the director who he worked with to make Sideways, which is truly one of the great movies. If you guys still haven't said that, Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church,
I love Sideways.
directed by the same movie.
Uh-huh.
God, I love that movie. I don't even drink wine, and I love that movie. But yeah, Paul Giamatti, he didn't end up winning the Oscar, right?
Alexander
ended-
Payne did Sideways, yeah.
Who ended up winning the Oscar this year?
Ooh,
Oh, for what?
Best Actor.
Yeah, who was it? It was kind of the front running favorite, and I'm forgetting. Why am I freezing on who?
Oh
won
yeah,
the
yeah,
Oscar?
yeah. Cillian Murphy.
Yes, for
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
But in award season, and like everybody thought it was just automatically going to be Cillian Murphy, but then in award
It
season,
started to ebb, right?
Paul Giamatti started winning some of the
Yeah,
best
he
actor
started picking up
awards.
steam.
Because he's a
And
force.
listen, I don't take this the wrong way. I love Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. He's brilliant in it. I still thought Paul Giamatti should have won. I got no complaints that Cillian Murphy won it because, again, he was great in Oppenheimer. But if I had a vote, which I did not, I actually would have given my vote to Paul Giamatti. I thought Oppenheimer was the better movie all around, but The Holdovers was brilliant. It was so good. And Paul Giamatti reminded, because listen, Paul Giamatti's done a lot of crap in the past 10 years, but he's one of our great actors. And it's like that movie, he reminded us just how great he is. I actually kind of thought he should have won it.
Don't you
That's
talk
just me.
about San Andreas.
Or a lot of other
Don't
things.
you talk about San Andreas like that.
You know what else he's really good in? Billions.
Yeah.
He's really good in Billions. Anyway,
Billions.
okay, anyway. So what's next?
Okay. What do we got? El Guason, I think. Or Wasson.
Wasson.
Not sure. Hi, John and crew. Do you think Mufasa will suffer from the Jay-Z allegations as his wife and daughter are part of the cast of the movie and he's been present at the premiere? I mean,
No.
if anything,
I
even if
haven't
that were
heard it.
true, I look at them more as victims than anything. So
And it doesn't matter. He like this whole thing in Hollywood about guilt by association. Again, I don't know anything. I was not there for anything. I don't know what Jay-Z did or didn't do. But
You
do
didn't get
think
those
this
party
movie-
invites?
Here's the thing. Would you think this movie will hurt? Because there's a guy who might have done something who's married to somebody who is connected to that movie. Like 6 Degrees of Guilt. I don't think it'll have any impact on the movie whatsoever.
yeah,
Now, if it was a documentary or something like that, maybe. But this is Lions. This is Lion King. I mean, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Say, wait a minute. This movie is associated with this one person who is married to somebody who is accused of something. No, I don't think it'll hurt the movie at all. I don't think it'll help the movie, but I don't think it'll hurt the movie at all.
I actually didn't even think about it till I read that question.
Yeah.
So,
All right, what's next?
Elijah from Nashville says, hello. After many times watching at home, I was finally blessed to see Interstellar in IMAX Sunday night.
You weren't alone.
For sure, I cannot put into words how much I love that film. Will forever be my favorite movie.
Listen,
Yes.
the vast majority of the time when movies are re-released, they make a 1 million, 2 million, 3, like they'll make a little bit of money, right? Interstellar made $31 million.
Yeah. It was like when they did with Coraline. I couldn't believe how good Coraline did.
And now a lot of people think, well, now let's just start re-releasing every movie.
Nah.
No. Keep in mind, this is the rare exception. But
Re-releases
still,
make between 1 and 2 million tops.
I want you to wrap your heads around this. To put it in perspective, the re-release of a 10-year-old, it was 10 years, right? 10-year anniversary?
Probably. Let me look it up.
Let's just say 10 years for
Sure.
argument's sake, because I'm terrible with dates.
Right.
A re-release
Yeah, 2014.
of a 10-year-old movie made more money than Furiosa made on its opening weekend. Made more money than Fall Guy did. Granted, that's just domestic, but still, just for context. It made $31 million on a re-release. That is nothing short of impressive. That is highly impressive. Like,
Crazy.
unbelievable. Congratulations to them. That's great. All right, what's next?
We got Robot Man who says, so I just started watching Creature Commandos. I got to say, I love it already. And the show edgy and funny. My favorite scene was when Flag Senior, Flag Senior and the princess were in the bathroom. That's your favorite scene.
Of course.
Do you think James Gunn DC would be better than people realized?
Look, anybody who's kind of tuned in should realize the new DCU has a very good chance of being very good. Doesn't mean it will be. James Gunn has done nothing but produce great stuff. His Guardians of the Galaxy movies have all been good to awesome. His Suicide Squad was absolutely awesome. Peacemaker was way better than even I thought it was going to be. So I think a lot of people know that there's a very good chance that the new DC could be great. And listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the people that isn't completely in love with Creature Commandos. Like, I watched the first couple of episodes. I thought it was good. I thought it was okay. I'm not I think Invincible is better. I definitely think Arcane is better. That kind of stuff. But still, I thought Creature Commandos was good. I'm not tripping over myself like a lot of other people are. To me, the DCU really gets kicked off with Superman. And I have very high hopes for that and very high expectations. So I think anybody who's like not coming with a predetermined bias because they're a Snyder bro or something and they want the new DCU to fail, I think a lot of people are approaching it with a lot of optimism. Again, it's great to have optimism. It's great to have potential. But now the movie's got to deliver. And I think it's got a good chance to, but we'll see if they do or not. All right, what's next?
Vixter says one for Jonathan with regards to Mark Rylance being able to be a booming presence for Dumbledore. Look up Jerusalem Rooster's morning routine on YouTube. The role won him a Tony and Olivier and truly launched him in the US. He was a force of nature in it. I have no doubt. I mean, he's an incredible actor. I only go off of what I see, but I'm in no position to question casting directors who know far more than me. You know what I mean?
And by the way, it's not official that Mark Rylance is going to be a Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of report.
I'll check that out, though.
There's also reports that are looking at Mark Strong for Dumbledore. Either one of those, to me, is a big win.
Right.
You land Mark Rylance as Dumbledore,
it can't
that's
hurt.
insane.
It can't hurt.
You land Mark Strong as Dumbledore, insane. Like, right now, the casting lineups we're hearing are so freaking impressive, but we'll see nothing's been official, though, yet. So we'll see how it all shakes out. All right, what's next?
Mega Red with a two-parter. I believe Evans will return along with the OG Avengers cast as antagonistic versions of their heroes from another Earth on a collision course with Earth 616. A new Avengers versus Old Guard conflict with both their universes at stake, just like the comic. Like a crazy game of like a crazy game of Super Smash Brothers with the Avengers distracted and fighting Doom when then comes out on top. Then in Secret Wars, you could have all the heroes team up to fight Doom. Let's go.
Yeah, again,
He's not buying it.
I'm not buying it. Again, listen, I'm not saying that's not what they're doing. It very well could be. That's what they do. That is definitely one of the possibilities on the table. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. Like, here's one of the big things they cannot do. Just take all the OG Avengers characters and make them the bad guys and make them, job to the new characters. You can't do that. You use the older characters and the older actors, stuff like that, to help put over the new ones and to help transition into a new thing, but you don't use them just to be jobbers. That won't work.
And plus, they'll take away the effect of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Like Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom, he's the guy who represents that. The face we look to for protection is now the face that is the face of our Doom, right? He's that. I don't know that you'd bring back all the OG Avengers and just put them all in that same position.
Yeah, it just won't work.
I just don't know. Again, I ain't saying that's not what they're doing, but I have my doubts that that's what they're doing. But it's possible, I suppose. All right, what's next?
Robot Man is back. If Cloud assemble your own, if you could assemble your own Avengers team for Doomsday, who would be your starting lineup? For me, Captain Marvel, Steve Rogers, Captain America, Wolverine, Storm, and Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner not as the Hulk though.
Bruce.
Maybe just as the man in the chair.
I don't know if I'm all that interested in Sunday Family Barbecue Hulk.
Come on, we'll eat great.
Yeah, like just think of the ribs. The ribs will be so good. Yeah, I love Hulk, but I don't have a lot of interest in, again, Hawaiian shirt Family Barbecue Hulk. Smart Hulk definitely has his moments in Infinity War and Endgame.
Right.
Time travel. That line was great.
Oh, he's a comedian too.
Yeah, he's like, and that moment that he comes by and
gives him the tacos.
Gives him the taco.
All right, it's
Come
so
on,
sweet.
that was a great moment. It was. He definitely has his moments, but I'm not. So who would be in it for me? Steve Rogers. I mean, to me, Steve Rogers is the heart, soul, and everything of what is the Avengers. So it would probably be that.
Definitely War Machine.
Definitely War Machine, because Rhodey's the whole presence in there, and then the narrative possibilities you have with him and the face of Tony Stark would be amazing. I definitely agree with Captain Marvel.
I would love Deadpool in there.
I would love it too. I don't think we're gonna get it.
It would just be crack me.
And I don't think we're gonna get. I said this. I could be wrong. It could be wrong, and I'll be thrilled if I'm wrong. But I don't think we're gonna see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. Maybe the new Wolverine. Who else would I have in there?
Or at least do your top three, the forefront.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's got to be in there.
Yeah, Shang-Chi would have to be one of them. And God, maybe I'm biased just because I love the show so much. I wouldn't mind seeing Ms. Marvel in there. But
no, that's a
they
possibility.
probably would. She's probably too young, but I would love to see that. It would be fun. All right, anyway, what's next?
This is our last of the tips. Mega Red says, I find the Avengers casting interesting. Do you think Evans or Downey or Jackman will stick around for a while post-Secret Wars? Feels odd to bring back your most popular faces only for them to leave right after, or maybe they'll reboot some characters.
I actually think... First of all, I don't think we're getting Hugh Jackman. Again, that's just me as a fan speculating. I have no insider information on that. I'm not making a claim. I'm just saying I personally doubt we will. But yes, I do think, like after Endgame, I said, nah, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are coming back. You mark my words. I don't feel that same way about this. Listen, you use characters to tell a story. And then if you no longer need those characters to tell your story moving forward, then you don't use them. Joe and Anthony Russo and Kevin Feige clearly have a story that they want to tell in Doomsday and Secret Wars. And I think that will then be it. I think that will then be it for Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. But yeah, you bring them back to tell a story. And if they're done, you don't go, well, what was the point in bringing them back if you're not going to use them later? The point was to tell a story. And if you tell a great story with them, and then you end it, then that's why they were there. It's like, listen, nobody thinks it's pointless that they brought Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in for Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, some people think they're still going to come back. I don't think so, but maybe they do. But if they don't, was it pointless that they came back for No Way Home? No, it made for a fun story and a great movie experience, and everybody loved it. That's the point. I think sometimes as movie fans, we lose sight of the fact that the point of a movie is to make a great movie, to make a great cinematic experience. Whether or not, regardless of what comes later, the point of a movie is to make a good movie. That's it. And if they want to use them more later on, okay. But I think if they do bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and it's just for, say, Doomsday and Secret Wars, I think that's perfectly fine. Use them and use these movies to also not only conclude the multiverse saga, but to also help transition into what comes next, something Endgame didn't do very well. It was a great climax, but it wasn't a great transition. Then I think that's the point, and I think that's the purpose. And if you fulfill that purpose, awesome. All right, guys, listen, normally at this point, we would now take questions from our channel members who send in questions, but we normally have like 4 main topics. We had 7 main topics today, so we've run a little bit of overtime. So that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much to everybody for being here and tuning in. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number 2, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.